welcome to my January vlog. So I said previously that I can't do scripted things. It takes up way too much time. But I still want to make videos. It's just kind of just a fun thing to do. So, yeah, I wouldn't call it a New Year's resolution, but I definitely had a New Year's something where this year I really want to just do more stuff this year. And creating YouTube videos is definitely gonna be on the backside of that because it just takes up way too much time. The little vlogs, they don't take up time at all, and they could maybe hold me accountable to the goal of doing stuff this year. So I'm going to recap my month. I've got a little notebook that I keep my notes in for what I've done in the month, and just gonna run through it and talk about it while playing some RuneScape. Yeah, I love Guardians of the Rift. This is a good ass mini game. They did a good job with this one. But also I haven't done it in a while, so please don't make fun of me if I'm not being very optimal. Yeah, and then I'm going to be multitasking too, so this is going to be a complete nightmare as far as gameplay is concerned. But that's just how it goes. So, let's begin with my list. No, wait, let's not begin with the list. I just want to talk about vlogs for a little bit. I think vlogs are pretty cool. Been a long time Donkey fan. Ugh. And he, back in the day when he was doing League of Legends videos, pretty much only, he used to have a Super Mario 64 playthrough kind of vlog that was just like, damn, I don't know, peak depression hours. He would just talk about shit that made him sad in the moment and just wild. Those videos are so wild and such a peek behind the curtain of like that era of YouTube money making and making a living off of YouTube. Just wild videos. But I like those videos. Not that this will be anything like that, because I am at a very good spot in my life. I am living pretty good over here. So yeah, I'm just gonna ramble about the dumb bullshit that I do. But yeah, first one, January 1st. The new year started with a bang. So I started partaking in the devil's lettuce much later in my age. I had a lot of friends in high school that partook, but I was a straight edge loser who didn't touch it until recently-ish, late 20s. Late 20s, like 29. And now it's just a fun little thing to do as an adult, but I primarily do it with just my wife. It's a very intimate thing that we do together. We just watch movies and relax, completely legally. I would never do anything illegally. And if I ever incriminate myself, just know that that is me being hilarious and just telling a sarcastic little quip or something. Definitely. But this year I want to kind of open it up and spend time with friends while under the influence and experience things with them. And I started that January 1st by having a good friend come over and watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Not the new Netflix anime, but the old Edgar Wright movie. Oh god, old. It's definitely, that movie's not old. Yikes. But yeah, when that movie first came out, me and this friend were living together in college. And we on like God, we went and saw that movie like 5+ times in theaters. We loved that movie, and I knew that if I was going to rewatch that movie, it would be with him, and it would be Under the Influence. And it did not disappoint. That movie gets a lot of flack for like Manic Pixie Dream Girl kind of stuff, and it totally deserves it. But it's still just a really solid flick. The directing is so cool and funny. Yeah, the two things. Whenever I'm under the influence and watching a movie, I always start thinking way too hard about just like the craft, how how the sausage is made. Is that the phrase? And Edgar Wright's directing is always just funny, frantic, moving around. And it was cool to watch one of those movies. Would love to watch like Shaun of the Dead, Under the Influence as well. But the other part of it that was great was the kind of indie scene of bands and stuff. It's just cool to see Kim Pine, Scott Pilgrim, and the other guy whose name I don't remember, and just like their role in the film, and just this weird background, like trying to make it big, trying to be a band, and like the different levels of caring, because like Scott, this is obviously pretty secondary to him, because he's kind of an asshole, but that's kind of the point too. But yeah, movie still holds up. It's funny. I like it. Yeah, January 2nd, went and saw Iron Claw with another friend. Iron Claw is a super cool movie about a wrestling family, very tragic wrestling family. I am desperate for this one to go onto streaming so I can watch it with my wife. I would love to rewatch it. But the movie is just a real solid flick. The part of it that I loved, very similar to the whole indie aspect of the band stuff with Scott Pilgrim, is just the background depictions of wrestling. I love wrestling. Like, I think the product is pretty good. It's pretty fun to watch wrestling, but just like talking about wrestling and being engaged in like the narratives and just like the whole, just wrestling as like an art form is so freaking cool. And Iron Claw captured, like, they get it big time. Just like the big personalities and the fakeness of it, but it's also not fake, and just wrestling as like a narrative tool to tell stories. It's great. I want to rewatch the movie so bad just for that. Like, yeah, people should watch Iron Claw, even if they don't like wrestling, or they don't get it, or they think it's fake, or all that stuff that people say. That movie's great, sweet, sick. Yeah. Next thing I did was January 11th, so kind of fucked up there. 9 days. Didn't do shit, just going to work and going home. And this is kind of why I'm trying to keep myself accountable. That's a lot of... Should have like gone out to a bar or something with a friend. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I get way too caught up in just like going to work, going home, and just waiting for the weekend to spend my one night with my wife that we can completely relax and just hang out. And I wanna make the effort, go out more, do stuff. But January 11th was probably Saturday. I don't know. That was when I finished editing the last YouTube video that I posted here. Just running through the video games that I was playing through in 2023. Yeah, I like backlogged a lot, and a lot of my video game playing was just so I could like post reviews on backlogged. So I got through a lot in 2023. And this year, I am definitely planning on taking a step back and playing like longer games, like way less about just getting a lot of games done and more about just, I don't know, playing those longer games. I've been playing Yakuza 0 for quite a while on my Steam Deck just before bed, and that's been really fun. That game is just great in all facets. Just fun game. I'll probably talk about it more whenever I beat it. But yeah, that video was fun to make. Next, January 13th, book club, The Sunlit Man. Yeah, I'm a big Brandon Sanderson guy, and he just, last year was his, he called it the year of Sanderson. Apparently he wrote 4 secret books, released them all, and he's a big fantasy guy. All of his books connect to an overarching world called the Cosmere, where there's a big grand plot happening within the main book series, which is called the Stormlight Archive. And the Sunlit Man is just kind of a spin-off of just a little short story that existed within the Cosmere. And it was great. It was cool. Made me cry. I'm kind of a little baby boy. Media makes me cry pretty easily. But I like it when it does it still. And it certainly did it. It was good. Good book. It got me currently rereading The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive, so I can be ready for the 5th one to come out at the end of the year. Super excited. Love that Mormon. He writes a mean book, that guy. So that'll be a real treat. Yeah, and then book club. Yeah, our book club is mainly just Brandon Sanderson books, honestly. We've been branching out into other fantasy stuff, and that's actually been pretty good too. Actually currently reading Fellowship with the Ring for the first time, and that's been great. But yeah, probably talk about that more next month. But yeah, super pumped for that 5th book to come out. Even though it's got a stupid name. Next, January 14th, Les Mis. I'm a fucking freak for Les Mis. I love Les Mis. Les Mis is kind of, I don't know, my moral rock. I went and saw the January 14th. I went and saw the live performance for the 5th time, I think. And it's just it's a great time every time. This time I went with a guy who runs a mutual aid thing that I do every weekend. And he's also a big freak for Les Mis. It was also his 5th time. And, you know, that all makes sense. That all checks out. Just Les Mis, I think, is a real beautiful story about God, so fucking cornball saying it out loud, but just like love is, I don't know. Just, it's hard to describe. Just love is like the ultimate power. And God, cornballs. Yeah, but it's a beautiful performance. But I will say, I've seen it 5 times. I didn't get too much out of it this time around. But it's still just a great little thing. I'll see it every time it's in town. January 17th. I finished Taskmaster Series 16, which was wowie. I'd have to like rewatch that season that has like James Acaster in it. But that might have been my favorite season of Taskmaster ever. It was so freaking good. Sam Campbell and Julian are just hilarious, and the tasks, even 16 seasons in, Alex Horn is just like great tasks throughout. There might have been like one dud, I don't know. Damn, just what a season, what a guy. That show is amazing. It's just like Alex Horn is a genius. He has basically televised lateral thinking, and the comedians are always top notch, super funny, and it mutually benefits them because it gets their name out there. It's a perfect show. It's lateral thinking, board games, escape rooms, televised and made funny. It's so good. We've never watched a season of Taskmaster, me and my wife, live, but we might do that this year because I don't know why we haven't before. It's just such a great show. Love that boy, that Alex Horn. Yep. And then January 19th, we finished watching Doctor Who Series 4. Not the old shit, but the newer stuff. Season 4 is David Tennant with Donna. And that season's great. Donna's such a fun partner because with all the other seasons, there's always like sexual tension between the partner and the doctor. And Donna up front is very like she's not attracted to the doctor. It's kind of nice. You could tell different stories with that. Not that I like the other stuff too, but like it's just good. And then the series finale there is where the doctor regenerates and David Tennant goes away, and I gotta say David Tennant's regeneration and stuff is the only good regeneration of all the doctors. Not the biggest, just great episode. Wow, I love it. I keep catching myself in scenarios where I need to pay attention to the game when I need to check my notes for what I did next. The next thing is Poor Things. Went and saw Poor Things on January 20th. And we also got a little lunch date. Saw that with the wife. We had a little date for lunch, and then we went and saw Poor Things. So we live right next to a movie theater, just a tiny little movie theater that has a little brunch lunch restaurant attached to it. And they show like older films and like more artsy, high class films. And it's just the cutest little place. And they've got like a membership that you can get. And this year, in my desire to do more shit, I kind of calculated out. We'd have to see like 10 movies in the year to make the membership worth it. And this was the first movie we saw. We're doing it. We got the membership. And, we made like a whole day of it. We had a little date, got lunch, and then we saw it. And it was great. That restaurant is the cutest little restaurant. They've got really good vegetarian options. And then the movie itself was super cool. We've never seen anything from that director before. But now I'm quite curious to see. He did like The Lobster and Sacred Deer. Dog mouth? Dog teeth? Something. And yeah, we're super, super interested to see more. Because that movie was a great movie. A lot of sex too. I like seeing boobs. It's good stuff. But it's a real cool movie. There's some scenes that are almost like surreal and like Wes Anderson adjacent from just like an aesthetic perspective, with the colors and stuff, and then the character herself and like what she's going through and doing is it's just interesting. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it without just giving away the plot, but it's neat. The next two things. Oh boy. January 23rd and January 24th, I went and saw the Gurren Lagann movie twice. Once dubbed, once subbed. I watched the second one because I ain't wasting my time watching the first one. Not that I hate the first one. The first one's fine. But the second one's where it's at. That's where all the fight scenes and cool shit happens. And it was fun. Gurren Lagann is definitely one of my favorite animes. It's high up there in the movies. I love anime movies. Another favorite of mine is like K-On! K-On's got an anime movie. Because, I got the urge. I want to rewatch these things, but they're like 26 episode commitments. But when you got a movie, you just throw the movie on, and it scratches that itch. And it's nice. And the second movie is just so freaking cool. These characters are just like... They're just like all firing at 100%. They're all so committed to the cause. And the robots just get bigger and bigger. And the music gets more and more intense. Just a great movie. Yeah, saw it dubbed and subbed. I will say I'd never heard the dub before. I will basically always go for the sub, but I'm not like against dubs. And I'd say that the dub was pretty serviceable, pretty good. I was going in kind of expecting a bad time, but it was passable. I'd say there are some really iconic yelling sequences in the Gurren Lagann movies, and there's a beautiful rhythm to Japanese yelling that is completely lost in the English dub. English dub yelling, and I don't know if this is just because I am an English-speaking person, but there's no rhythm to it. It's just very, very one-note yelling. They're not willing to get silly with it. Their yelling is always intense. But Gurren Lagann is a naturally silly flick, silly program. So when they yell, sometimes their voices will arc up into a higher pitch, and it's just kind of goofy, and it just adds to it. It's just like they're having fun, just like they're fully committed. God damn, Gurren Lagann is good. Great flicks. Okay, January 26th, I saw Oppenheimer for the first time. So my wife and my brother-in-law and my cousin-in-law, we're a tight-knit little group. We like to do a bunch of stuff together. If I keep doing these vlogs, you'll definitely hear about that. And my brother-in-law is a huge fan of Oppenheimer. He's a big fan of Christopher Nolan, I believe, is the director. And he wanted us to watch the flicks. I think I've only seen Inception. And I didn't hate it, but I thought it was kind of whatever. Oh, wow, I fucked up. I was filling my pouch. No. Oh, and then this one's really far away. Shit. Yeah, well. Shit. Yeah, so, yeah, we went and saw Oppenheimer. He just came over. He's got the DVD. Oh, what a nightmare this is. I'm completely off cycle now. And what are my opinions on Oppenheimer? I thought Oppenheimer was great. It was like a 3-hour movie, but it didn't like feel that way. It was, it was a real good flick. But it was real good in that, like, if I was a teacher, I'd give it a good grade. But for things to be kind of reach the 9, 10 out of 10 echelon for me, they've got to like resonate with me specifically on some sort of level. And Oppenheimer is it's kind of a whatever subject. It's not. I'm glad that they didn't glorify nuclear bombs. But yeah, I didn't get too much extra out of it. But it was still a good time. Honestly, though, the only thing I can like freaking remember from that movie is Florence Pugh's boobs. which were fantastic. She is an incredibly gorgeous actress. God bless her. God bless her for being in that movie and doing that. So, shout outs to her. Good movie. Yeah, 3 hours. Didn't feel long. Just kind of a nice little solid flick. What's next? Oppenheimer? Aha. January 27th. So, yes. Partaking in drugs later in life kind of gets you curious about taking other drugs. So, January 27th, me and the missus partook in mushrooms. And I don't know. It was kind of a letdown, honestly. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting like huge revelations or something. And honestly, I just didn't. Everything that I got hooked on and thought about and chewed on with my brain, it's all stuff I already know about myself or about life or whatever. Like, I think my 3 major points were mostly just that, like, I love my wife and my little pup. That's point 1. I'm deeply sad and still grieving about the loss of my first pup from a decent amount of months ago. Not months, Jesus, years. And yeah, and I just will forever. Kind of the yin and yang of love is grief, and yeah, it's not whatever, but it's something I've accepted. And the other one. Oh, and then the other one's just that, I don't know, I feel a vague, it's not like white guilt, but it's just like, I don't know. I have a very lovely life, and I just feel a weird guilt for anyone who, oh God, I don't want to sound like I'm boasting or something, but anyone who's just not living my exact life, I guess. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Didn't need mushrooms to tell me any of that stuff. I've been to therapy. I already know all that stuff. As far as visuals, though, there's a few cool visuals, but it was mostly just kind of annoying. Yeah, my brain was just kind of rattling a lot and just talking a lot, which is why I do these videos. I can just talk into a microphone because I like hearing. I hate hearing myself talk, actually, but I don't know. I've got so many things in my brain, and it's just good to get it all out. But yeah, it is fine. Interesting experience. We'd like to do it one more time in the summer. Be outside in nature more. But we're probably done after that. January 29th, I finished reading Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So the Harry Potter audiobooks are just kind of a thing that I like to throw on while I'm working, because it's just noise that I can drift in and out of. I don't need to really pay attention to it. But I enjoy HP and all of his wild antics. And Half-Blood Prince, book's real weak, I gotta say. I think it's kind of a stinker. Until which chapter? The Felix Fellatio chapter. And then every chapter after that is a fucking banger. It ends on such a high note that I think my brain thinks that book is good. But God, all the fucking love antics are garbage. And like, there's the Harry Potter normally has like overarching kind of mysteries, like who's the beast in the Chamber of Secrets, and there's mysteries to be solved. And the mysteries in Half-Blood Prince are like, God, what even are they? It's like, who's the baddie trying to do all the bad stuff? And it's like Malfoy. It's obviously Malfoy from the beginning. Even the narrative is like upfront about that. So there's like nothing to solve. So that's terrible. And then it's like, who's the Half-Blood Prince? and it's like, who cares? It's just like not a particularly relevant plot line to warrant any sort of mystery. So when it's revealed, it's like, okay. Yeah, just a strange book. But it's still a good book. Harry Potter is definitely kind of a clown show book. It's, I love it, but I'll be the first to admit that it's kind of a shit heap in a lot of aspects. But what I do love about Half-Blood Prince in particular, and Harry Potter in general, is I think Harry Potter is a wonderful book when it comes to a commentary on grief. And like, just Dumbledore's character as someone who's a big proponent of love, can kind of find solace in a lack of fear of death, I guess, to a degree, because of his how much stock he's put into love. And I think it was an interesting and smart choice to have, this is morbid, to have Dumbledore die quite painfully and in such a sorry state. Yeah, it was an interesting choice that I think was good, because it is scary, and I don't know, painful, whatever. Half-Blood Prince. Next, January 30th was the first Broomball game of the season. So I partake in an intramural league for Broomball as a fucking 31-year-old, just playing against college kids. The teams allow ringers. I've played hockey for a decade plus, played lacrosse for a decade plus, and my friends who go to the school, they have recognized me as a potential ringer, and they are correct. I've been playing in this league for 4 years, I think, at this point, and it tests me. It tests me in ways. I'm an incredibly non-competitive person. It's, I think, my least favorite aspect of playing sports in high school was just how much I did not enjoy just how competitive people were on the team and how much stock they put into it. And intramural leagues are perfect for not caring. But I do like to win, obviously. Talking about Broomball specifically, I like Broomball because it's a pretty decent combination of the two sports that I played, lacrosse and hockey. It's on ice, so a lot of people think it's very hockey adjacent, which it is. But the entire, just like running on ice without skates, it creates a very offense first kind of sport. Like, if you have possession of the ball, at least as far as I'm concerned, in my case, it is quite difficult to relieve someone of their possession, because you have to commit on ice to poke checking or aggressively taking the ball from them. And if they've got the forethought and they're playing with their head up, eyes open, that kind of crap, you can pretty easily avoid scenarios like that, I guess. So it's very similar to lacrosse to me, especially like box lacrosse, where you've got the ball in your net. The defending player can get the ball out of your net, but it's kind of an effort. The offensive team, I feel like, is on the they have the advantage. So Broomball's fun. Intramural sports are pretty fun. The game specifically is how do I describe this? We won 2-1 and it was literally because of just me. I scored our only goal in regulation, and I scored our only goal in overtime. And I don't know. I don't like being the center of attention. I'm a very in the background kind of person. So I'd rather get assists than goals, I guess. And this being, I guess, a ringer type player is very testing for me. But it was an interesting game because, for all intents and purposes, I should have felt good, but leaving the game, when you're as non-competitive as me, it's far less about winning and losing, and far more about, I don't know, doing the coolest thing in the game. And I scored our only goal. I scored the overtime goal that won the game, but that definitely was not the coolest thing that happened that game. The goal that the other team scored was with like 1 second left. It was literally a buzzer beater to tie the game, and it was pretty sick. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. Broomball's fun. Good fun time. Next, February 2nd. This is the last one. I'm recording this on February 3rd. So this is what I did literally yesterday. Cousins got together and mother-in-law. We're all big F1 fans. And in between seasons, we've been watching some historical races that some other people a part of the group have not seen. And we watched Abu Dhabi 2021, which, if people don't know, F1, it's a huge, huge historic race. And it did not disappoint. That race is so fucking wild to watch. Things happen in that race that do not happen in literally any other race. People who run the teams in the middle of the race are doing interviews with the announcers. The amount of politics that is going on, not behind the scenes, very visibly in front of the TV during the race, is crazy. And another aspect of it is, if you are aware of what happens at the end of that race, the race itself has almost a beautiful narrative structure to it. It foreshadows so much of what happens later. Constantly, the announcers are just like saying this shit that becomes like historic, because Abu Dhabi 2021 is such a historic moment in F1 for good or for bad. And if you don't know, it's the last race of the 2021 season, and 2 racers go into it, and they're tied for points. So whoever wins between the two, like, they will win the whole shebang. It has to be seen to be believed. It's just such a wild race. It's wild. Okay. Yeah, and that was my little vlog. But it's hard to, I don't know. Now that I've done this, it's interesting. I'm such a categorical person. I'm very list focused. I love being aware of what my favorite things are and making lists and 3x3s, and just, gosh, if you give me categories and things to put in categories, I'll do it for hours. I like lists. I've got something in my brain. We won't say it out loud though. And there's something about approaching a vlog in a similar way that is fine for me. I don't mind it. But there is something a bit melancholic, a bit sad about it. Because vlogs are supposed to be very, I don't know, emotional. I think I brought up that donkey one. He would only do those vlogs when he was at like a real rough patch in his life. That was when he would whip out Super Mario 64, turn on the recorder, press record, and just go full off the cuff. Like, just, and he would tell like incredibly embarrassing stories that were not funny at all. Just a beautifully intimate piece of work, the Donkey Super Mario 64 Let's Plays. And as you can see, I did none of that. I came in with a list and just kind of presented the list, which is fine. I had a good time doing that. Because, yeah, if I was going off the cuff and just talking about my emotions, I feel like I would just do what I did on mushrooms. I just talk about how much I love my wife and dog, which, you know, they rock. They rule. But, you know, it's kind of boring. Yeah. Other than that, though, it's like, boop, beep. Just doing stuff. Pretty excited about all the stuff I'm doing currently. Reading Lord of the Rings, reading Way of Kings again, playing Yakuza 0. Podcasts. I'm listening to a podcast that I used to listen to quite a lot in 2010. It is called Knocking Boots. And bless whomstever, I assume Damon Hatfield, the host, uploaded all of it onto Spotify. Because it's an old podcast. Very reasonable for that to have been just lost the time. Yeah, and I've been re-listening to that, and it's been such a trip just to go back to that podcast, because it's an IGN podcast that people wrote in like dating advice and stuff, questions, and they just answer it. And boy, did I use basically everything they said on that freaking podcast to court my current wife. And it's just been fun listening to it. Great podcast. Give it a listen if you haven't. Oh, man. But yeah. Not much going on over here. Got some concerts coming up. Some more movies to watch. Hope it'll be fun. See you in February, maybe. I mean, it's February now. See you in March, I guess, talking about February. Wop, wop, beep, boop. Bye-bye.